Hello, I am coming to you today to talk to you about library research. Now, I know for a lot of you, the thought of doing research in the library or through the library may seem daunting. And as we approach writing these research papers, both the proposing a solution paper and then the other persuasive paper that you will write for your final, you may think, I'm just going to look it up on the internet. Trust me, I also know that sometimes it feels faster, feels easier, more convenient to just Google a subject. And I totally get it. That's what we do in our lives. We do it in my family all the time. Somebody has a question about something, or there's an argument about something, and they'll Google it. They'll just look it up to prove who's right or who is more accurate. So that is a tool that we use in our daily lives. And it's helpful. It's very, very helpful. And for some of you, you may not have a topic that you feel passionate about. And so you may want to use Google to sort of get started and think about something that maybe is a problem that you haven't thought about too much. And so maybe you kind of want to start there with generating ideas. But that is where you want to start. As you get ready to write this paper for this week and for your final, you're going to want to generate some ideas. What is something that you feel passionate about, or what is something that you care about? Make a list, brainstorm some ideas, and start to think about, have I thought about a solution for this? Have I thought about maybe an idea? One thing that occurred to me last year when we first moved from Colorado to Georgia was that there is no recycling here. There is recycling, but not like there was at home. And so I started just doing some research on recycling here in Georgia, and it's definitely not as prevalent as it was in Colorado. So I sort of thought about one way to think about increasing recycling programs was one proposing solution idea I had. The topic that I am going to use today for an example is related to children and activity level and recess in particular. So this is something I've noticed as my own children have gone through school, that recess is being cut and the activities at recess are being cut. And then I watch the news and I hear about the increase in childhood obesity, and I think, well, that seems like a problem. It seems like maybe we need to start thinking about actually making use of that recess time and thinking about how to use it. So those are some ways I came up with my idea, but you need to start there. You need to start thinking about, what's a problem I notice? Maybe it's something as simple as people don't use their turn signals when they're changing lanes. Maybe you notice something else going on in your community and you want to think about changing that. So start to think about those ideas and just make a list. And maybe think about some key terms. That's something you're going to need when you get to the library. But I'm going to show you some ways that actually starting research is going to help you come up with key terms and help you figure out what you're doing. So once you have that list of topics and ideas, then what you're going to do is log into myccu.edu, whatever your homepage looks like. I'm not sure if students' homepage looks different than mine. This is what mine looks like as a faculty member. So this is where I start. Now, instead of logging into Blackboard like I normally would, instead I'm going to go over to the tab along the top bar that says Academics, and I'm going to click on Library. When I open up the library, on the far right, you're going to see a list of options for the library. And I'm going to select Journal Articles and Databases. Now, for those of you who are like me and you did high school and maybe some college, back in the dark ages when we actually had to find an article and then go into sort of like the catacombs of the library and dig through dusty books and make copies, or we had to go find this film or microfiche and then go copy it. Here is the exciting news. When you look up a database or an article through the CCU library, I would say most of the time that article will be available to you full text online. You won't have to go anywhere, do anything. You can get that article and you can print it off, read it online, bookmark it, do whatever you want to it. It's right there for you. No more searching through libraries and digging through stacks of stuff and double checking numbers. So much of that work has been done for you. So I'm going to show you how going to the journals and databases link is going to be almost as easy as going to Google. It takes a little practice, but once you've done it a few times, you're going to find that this is so simple. And here's the best news of all. When you're doing research for college instructors, they expect that you will have a published academic or scholarly source. Now, that's different than something that you may find in a Google search. For academic research, sites like wikipedia.com, any Wikipedia site, something like ask.com, or an individual person's blog on a topic. For example, if you're researching something on autism, let's say, and you find this awesome blog, and this mom has done all this research, and she's writing all these great things about tips for diet and tips for integrating activities and different things for her autistic child, you may think, awesome, this is a great source. However, that mom, as awesome as she is, isn't published, meaning she hasn't gone through a review process, an editing process. She hasn't gone before a board of anyone to have to show that she's done the research and that she's been recognized as a published source. For the purposes of academic research, it is important that as we share in a conversation in an academic environment, that we are all using sources that have been through that publishing process. They've been recognized as something that has been fact-checked and researched, and that others have looked at it and edited it and made sure that it's something that is a reliable source. And the bonus is when you start using the database through the CCU library, it's almost guaranteed that everything you find there is published, is considered a source that is legitimate for use in your research. So this is a way to use the CCU library, to do it online, to do it quickly and easily, and I'm excited to share it with you. So we're on the library page. We're going over to the right. We're selecting journal articles and databases. Now this may overwhelm you, this big long list, but I'm going to show you one that I think works really well. It's close to the top and it's called Academic Search Premier. And it's a general database that's looking for academic sources for a variety of topics. So it's going to be a good one for you to use for projects in my class and perhaps for other instructors as well. Now, once you click on Academic Search Premier, it's going to take you to a login screen that looks like this. You need to log in with your CCU ID and password, and then it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this, and it says EBSCO, and there will be a search box towards the middle, just like you would see on Google or any other search engine or browser. Now, for my purposes, remember, I'm looking at the connection between recess and childhood obesity, and should we look at increasing recess or making recess something that is more active to help with the issues of childhood obesity. So what I'm going to put into this search box are the words childhood obesity and recess. Now, the one thing to know that's helpful when you're using these types of search engines, they're a little bit different than Google in this way. These search engines are looking for keywords. They're looking for actual words in the subject area of an abstract. So when you pick a word, it's going to search for that word. Google searches common language. You can type in a whole sentence and it searches for that. But these search engines are a little bit different. So you need to think about, what's a key word related to my topic? Can I boil it down to one word? The other piece to know is that when you use and, it's like a plus sign. So it's considering both of those words. So for my search, it's going to look for childhood obesity and recess. It's going to look for both of those words. And it's going to narrow the number of results I get because I've given it two words. You can also use an or. An or is kind of like a minus sign, sort of, not really. But that means it looks for one term or the other term, and you're going to get a result list that looks for both, essentially. But it's looking for one or the other, not necessarily both together. Just a little tip for how to use the search engine. So when I put that in, I immediately get 20 results, which actually is great. You may do a search and get over 1,000 results or 2,000 results. Obviously, you're not going to be able to look through all of those sources, so you need to think about ways to reduce that number. One way might be to add another search term. That might be a helpful way to reduce your search results. You can also go over and on the left-hand side of the toolbar next to your search results, there are some options for ways to limit that search. One of the ways I use is to select full text, which means it's only going to pull up articles for me that CCU has purchased full text already. So I'm not going to have to wait for something to come to me in the mail or get emailed to me. I will have access to the full text of those articles in the search results right away. So for my search, I select full text and I get 11 results. Awesome. I can look through 11 results very quickly and figure out what I want. So I don't just take the one on the top. This is another habit we have from using Google, right? We most often just click on one of the first 5. That doesn't always work when you're doing this type of research. You need to make sure that you're reading the title and a little bit of the information about that article. So I'm going to scroll down and I find an article that looks very interesting to me. It was published in Newsweek. It's called Reading, Writing, and Recess. So what that says to me is someone has thought about how, reading and writing are considered academics, but they have coupled recess with that. So that's kind of indicating to me that it's probably important in this article. All I have to do is click on that article, and it's going to pull up for me information about that article. One thing I will see is called the abstract, which is a summary, basically, of what that article is about. I'm also going to see a list of keywords associated with that article. Now, this is where if you're struggling to figure out what search terms to use and you find an article that you like, make note of some of those search terms, make note of some of those keywords, because it may be that your topic is more recognized under a different term. And as you start to continue to do some of these searches, you're going to find that certain keywords pop up time and time again. So you're going to want to add those to your list. So after I look at this article, I'm going to go over again to the left side and I'm going to say, yep, this is one I want to read. And I'm going to click on the HTML full text, the tab to the left. And it pulls up the article right there for me. I have the option to print it. I can read it on screen. And already, just by skimming the article, I can see that this is one that's going to help me with my problem solution paper in thinking about the importance of adding recess and improving activities at recess to help prevent childhood obesity. So awesome. Then I'm going to go up here in the left-hand corner and click on Return to the List. I want to keep looking through this list of 11 sources. So I scroll down and I find some additional ones that look really helpful to me. And I'm going to continue to do some additional research. This other article I found gave me a great quote that I am going to be able to put right into my research and use for this paper. So within about 15 minutes, I was able to find 2 sources that count as academic sources that I can use in my paper. It's also important to note that pretty much the citation is done for me because all the information I need for the citation is listed on that abstract page. Let me show it to you again. You'll notice for my reading, writing, and recess, it tells me all the information I need to know for my APA citation. It tells me that it was published in Newsweek, it gives me the author's name, gives me the issue number, the date, and I have to reformat that for APA citation, but all the pieces are there. So it makes it a lot easier for me when I go to do my citations and my reference page. So when all is said and done, I've shown you how to access the library, how to think about some key terms, and how to find sources that are guaranteed to be usable for your paper coming up in this class. And I hope that this has helped you. I hope it's given you a little courage to maybe try something new and to check out the library. It's a lot of fun and it's super helpful, not only for this course, but for the other courses you'll be taking. I hope that we get to talk soon. Take care.